Hello, YouTubers. This is Level-Headed News, and I'm your host, Brenda. I found another article that I thought I would bring to you that I found very interesting here. It is off of the Common Sense Show with Dave Hodges, and the title is America's Three Trojan Horses. It starts out, Obama, the great maintainer of America's Trojan horses. Remember the story of the Trojan horse, don't you? The term Trojan horse implies that the someone is sold or given something on the premise that great benefit will follow. Instead, the Trojan horse brings catastrophe. America has many Trojan horses, courtesy of the globalists. However, the big three Trojan horses consist of banking, healthcare, and education. For America to survive, all three Trojan horses need to be torn down, and the power over each needs to be returned to the people. With the passing of Obama and the defeat of Clinton, it is time to close the curtain on the communist experiment in America. Our Trojan horses. In America, we have Soviet-style collectivizing banking, such as the Federal Reserve, and our people have suffered under the Soviet-style collectivized healthcare with disastrous results. How bad has it been? Number one, from Daniel Hirschland's 2012 Introduction to Sociology textbook, there is a graph on page 402 which charts the value of a dollar from 1800 to 2011. In 1913, the value of the dollar was very similar to the value of a dollar dating back to the 1800s. However, the value of a dollar in 1913 has fallen to 3 cents of purchasing power in 2016. You may recall that in 1913 was the date in which Federal Reserve and its greedy globalists, led by Mandelhaus and John Rockefeller, got their hooks into the American money system. The result was that the rich became richer and the dollar is near worthless. Collectivization under the control of the elite globalists failed miserably when it came to banking. It was a classic case of failed collectivization for the masses, but a financial jackpot for the global elite. What was the lesson? Soviet-style collectivization does not work for the masses. Number two, after World War II, doctors made house calls. Many, if not most Americans, did not have employee-sponsored health care. As a result, doctors were forced to compete with each other because there was no health care monopoly. This marked the last time that health care was affordable for the average American. In 1972, Richard Nixon held then secret meetings with Edgar Kaiser, where he was able to convince President Nixon to back the idea of managed health care, which was to make health care one of the largest monopolies on the face of the earth. This was a system designed to maximize profits by commanding a permanent source of income, co-pays, and premiums, courtesy of the average American, and further maximizing profits through denial of service. What has been the result? Americans have the most profitable pharmaceutical and health insurance companies in the world. Americans spend 10 times more than another nation on health care per person. We spend more than the next 8 nations combined. And what do we get for the most expensive health care system in the world? We have the 51st longest lifespan in the world. CIA fact book from 2013. Communist dictator Fidel Castro provided better health care for his people than we have in America. Collectively, the communist Cubans live 1 full year longer than the newest communist, the Americans. What is the ultimate lesson? Soviet-style collectivization does not work for the masses. The third Trojan horse. Donald Trump has stated that he would like to abolish the Department of Education. I could not agree more. American education has gone through 2 generations of failed Soviet-style collectivization education with miserable results. Along with banking and healthcare, education is the third plank of the communist invasion of this country. Communism has worked well, at least for the globalists. According to Robert Reich, the rich have never been richer, and the poor have never been poor. The American middle class has quickly slidden into the abyss of history. Soon, there will be no middle class. there will be the ruling class and the 95% of the population that we could accurately categorize as serfs. Education promises to close the deal of the globalist destruction of the United States. Banking dominates 100% of the economy and economic activity. Healthcare represents almost 20% of the entire GDP of the country. Finally, education is the anesthetic, which is blinding people to what is happening to their once proud constitutional republic. When a person is dying of a deadly and excruciatingly painful disease, the patient is medicated to the point where they know not where they are and what's going on. Education for many is serving the same purpose. At the outset of the public education, the industrialists, today's globalists, use to brag that they wanted a system that was able to produce workers just smart enough to do their job in factories, sixth grade education. But they did not want a populace so smart that it would learn how to challenge authority. Many have accused modern education of de-emphasizing the values and wisdom of the founding fathers, and that the Constitution is a living and breathing document in need of an overhaul. Used to move many people from national self-awareness to a state of being sentenced to a lifelong dumbed-down stupor in which the masses have no clue what they are losing. If you doubt the veracity of this statement, simply look at the recent educational trends. Reading comprehension scores since the advent of No Child Left Behind have declined by 40 points. Our children do not compare favorably to students of other first world nations, yet our creativeness used to be the envy of every nation. With No Child Left Behind and Common Core, we have witnessed the centralization of education. In short, education needs to be returned to the purview of the states where it is constitutionally mandated to be. The following paragraphs make it clear that if we are going to make America great again, the control of education must be ripped away from the federal government. Their communist programs must be thrown into the junk pile of history where they belong. Common Core is Soviet-style centralization. Both No Child Left Behind failed and Common Core are products of Education for All, which originated from the United Nations and enters the United States through the Presidential Council of Sustainability, which was created during the Bill Clinton administration. Make no mistake about it, both NCLB and Common Core are highly centralized approaches which parallels a Soviet style of collectivism, and they have failed miserably. Before reading the following paragraphs, which provide some measure of how the American education system is doing, ask yourself, where has a highly centralized system ever worked in the history of mankind other than for military purposes? At this point, I thought it prudent to interject a snapshot of the net effect of the education system following the No Child Left Behind and Common Core, along with the identification of some disturbing trends. Cursory report card. There are children who will excel in schools this year thanks to the guiding hands of caring teachers and administrators. However, the following numbers should not inspire pride. It should serve as an impetus to change course and decentralize education. After the failure of Common Core, it is clear that we have traded one failed centralized approach to education for a more virulent brand, such as No Child Left Behind to Common Core. The establishment is hell-bent on fulfilling the following principle of failed government. If something is not, or something does not work, keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. What all of this adds up to is the collective dumbing down of America. Please take note of these often cited examples are embolic as try this again, are embolic of how far we have slipped with regard to our intellectual prowess. 3% of all U.S. high school students have any idea the Civil War was fought in the 19th century. More than 65% of all U.S. high school students cannot find Great Britain on a map. 12% of U.S. high school students cannot find the United States on a map. More than 25% of all U.S. high school students thought that Christopher Columbus made his famous voyage across the Atlantic Ocean after the year 1750. About 33% of all U.S. high school students do not know that the Bill of Rights guarantees freedom of speech, religion, and due process. Only 55% of all U.S. students can name the vice president. The educational gains in several developing countries are superior to the U.S. educational performance. The data strongly suggests that many third world and developing countries are more proficient at educating children than is the United States. Students in Latvia, Chile, and Brazil are making gains in academic 3 times faster than American students, and those in Portugal, Hong Kong, Germany, Poland, Liechtenstein, Slovenia, Colombia, and Lithuania are improving at twice the rate, states a published by Harvard University program on education policy and governance. The Harvard researchers estimate that the educational gains made by the students in those 11 countries equate to about 2 years of learning in the United States. Can Donald Trump make education great again? The short answer is that he can, and he only has to do one thing. What is that one thing, you ask? He needs to completely abolish the Department of Education. It is unconstitutional, and it's failed even beyond the most dire of predictions from the time when it was created. The education system must be controlled by local school boards who have a vested interest in producing creative and innovative people. Until then, if your child is succeeding in the world of governmental schools, they are doing so because of the individual skill of teachers and administrators who succeed in spite of a failed communist system. If you're wondering if I'm saying that America is indeed a communist nation, not just developing communist nation, I am. What is the proof of this? We have in America 100 million working age adults who are either not working or are not working full time. The majority are in some type of federal welfare system and the total dependent upon the government for survival. If this is not symbolic of the failure of communism everywhere, I would not know what is. Donald Trump must abolish the Department of Education and all of its erroneous policies of Soviet collectivization. Once education has been returned to the people, then we can work on doing the same with banking and healthcare.